Okay, good morning. David Kirsten here with Quantum Leap, and I'm just going to double check confirmation here that we're going. Okay, great. Um, yeah, Corey's power is out today, so it's just going to be me, and I still wanted to come on and give a few thoughts on this concept of a speakerpreneur, becoming a speakerpreneur, because I think it's such a powerful concept really in building your business. And Corey and I know a number of people who have been doing this or getting into it, and it's really kind of the centerpiece of how they build and promote their business. And I think certain high value industries it works really well for, or probably works better for. I mean, I would say coaches, any social media marketing, but being creative, we even have a painter in our chapter who's doing a YouTube channel, and then so you really become a visionary in whatever topic you're looking at. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about how to get started, who it works for, how to kind of build your skills. And then we're going to return to this with Corey, because Corey's been doing this actually for longer than I have, and he knows a number more people. So we're going to kind of drill down a little bit deeper when he comes back. I know the power's out at a number of places around the state with the big storm. So fortunately, my power is on. I blew a fuse this morning with all the stuff that I'm running, but I was able to get it fixed in time. So, with that, David Kirsten with Quantum Leap, I'm just going to jump right in here and, um, you know, just a little bit about my own story. I used to write speeches for um, politicians in the Capitol and on campaigns. So, I'm kind of really a natural speaker in terms of how to communicate ideas in speaking. And I think that's good experience for business. It doesn't, everything doesn't translate, but really what it comes down to in being a speakerpreneur is just practice, being comfortable. And it really depends on the venue too. For example, if you're a seasoned podcaster, that doesn't necessarily translate into getting up in full front of a full room and speaking. So, it depends on the medium. I think some things translate, others don't. But whatever type of speaking you want to be doing, you just have to keep doing it. And I was looking at doing a speaker series actually, that goes back to the origins of this podcast. I was going to do a speaker series instead of the podcast, and that was right before COVID hit. We were getting started right around the time of COVID, and what was it, 2019. So things have went online. I'd say there's probably less places to speak now in lieu of COVID, but I think or because of COVID, but it's coming back, and really there's never going to be a shortage of need for good public speakers. And how to get started. I actually went through the Maxwell training, which he has a whole series of videos of really everything you need to know from the top people of how to kind of get into public speaking, how to draft your speech, and then have it connect to a call to action. Because I actually know a lot of speakers out there now who don't necessarily use it, that it doesn't connect to their call to action as much as it could. So you really want to design your whole speaking to benefit your business if that's what you want to do. I mean, maybe you want to be a social activist and promote an issue, which is great. That's not going to help you build your business. So I think kind of clarity on goals of what you want to do with it is important. And as a business owner, I'd say the most important thing is to how do you add value, provide a lot of value, but then convert that value into business for you. And that can be challenging. I'd say the same thing goes with a podcast too. If you have a podcast, how do you use that to make money for your business? And I'm not going to probably answer all these questions to your satisfaction today, but I will introduce them to get you started thinking about it. And I do have a few thoughts on both of those things, but there's a whole system on the Maxwell team. You can go on. that training's not cheap, but it was kind of a life-changing thing for me, and I still use it. I was just going over that big binder that I have everything written down to a T about how to do that speech. And I really got into the podcasting, and I kind of ran with that, and I'm um, mostly do kind of online speaking and the podcasting, because I find that works for me. But there are a lot of venues around here, and that's why I was hoping to have Cory on to talk more about. Cory does a lot more kind of speeches in kind of venues around. So, you know, there's this question about how does it different personality types or businesses that it's more amenable to. For example, a lot of people think, well, I'm not born a public speaker, I'm no good at that. You're not alone. I mean, public speaking is really the thing people fear most. They say even people fear it even more than dying. So, you're a lot of people are just scared to death to get up there. And that's why, looking at a Toastmasters or just getting up there and doing it, and getting comfortable up there. Cory and I, a lot of the speaking we do is within the BNI network, Business Network International. I do a fair amount of both online and in-person speaking for that group, and that's kind of hugely valuable experience, and also allows you to get good feedback from folks when you know people, because you want to continue to improve. You want to get out there and do it and continue to refine your skills, hone your skills. So, but the important thing, just like leaders, good public speakers aren't really born, they're made by doing it. And, if you look through the annals of history, people even like George Washington, he wasn't even, um, not a lot of people would say that he was even a good public speaker, but he was in certain settings, but he didn't like doing it. And today's world's hugely different. That I don't think you can become a visionary without becoming a good public speaker. And um, so training in groups to build your speaking skills. So I think public speaking is really something that you need to join an actual group of people to do it well. It's not something that you can use a book to learn how to do it to kind of supplement what you're doing, but your core thing to get out there and do public speaking should be a group. And um, whether it's BNI or Toastmasters or a local chamber of commerce, but you can just produce a talk and then find places on where to give the talk. I did pull out these three books that I thought were very good on developing your public speaking skills. And the first one, Speech Writing, the Expert Guide by Simon Lancaster. This is literally like a legendary book, and they draw heavily on this guy's books in the Maxwell training. And if you look at the chapters, it breaks down how to kind of construct your speech and storytelling, so um, speaking in front of an audience is totally different from maybe writing a speech out, or it's really about oratory and arguments, but then also that call to action and converting. What are you going to do at the end? Some of the best people we see, the most successful people who use public speaking to build their business, at the end they have people coming up to them to get in touch with them, to get their product, to hear more about their service, so they actually convert leads, and they go out and do that all over, and then they build business. So business just comes to them when they're at these events, and I'd say that that's a good way to do it. I do think there are a lot of indirect benefits by doing it. Like, for example, the podcasts, I find the more I do podcasting, the more people I have on, the more business just comes to me on the natural, even though I'm not fully using it as much as I could be. And we're doing some new things with the podcast, as you might have seen, putting out a lot of shorter clips, and we have a lot of great material. Another great book is How Legendary Leaders Speak. And this is a beautiful book. I actually just got some books online about speeches on Audible, and just listening to speeches of people who you admire. Maybe it's MLK or Kennedy, or I think there's a lot of key leaders out there that have great speeches, but this is a great kind of step-by-step guide about kind of what makes a good speeches, how to get there. Really just building your communication abilities is also important. This John Maxwell, The 16 Laws of Communication, is a great book. It's actually very new. And I mean, the most powerful thing you can come up with is a message, and how do you communicate that message to the world? And, so he talks about these timeless laws of communication. He says the law of credibility, the law of observation, the law of conviction, the law of preparation. So you learn all these things by doing in specific groups, but this can kind of help give you a lot more to think about and continue to develop you as a public leader, as a public speaker. Pardon me. What opportunities does BNI present? Come visit our BNI chapter. If I remember, I'll put the link in the chat to come visit, or come visit a local chapter to you, because you um, do public speaking in there, and I think that's a great place to start if you're new to business or new to speaking in business. And Cory has some more resources we're going to talk about when he comes on. And I'll just say finally, the use of podcasts can be an amazing way to get started with public speaking, especially with all the shocks to the economy with COVID. The podcasts, um, the doing a digital podcast is just hugely valuable, and it can really be a game changer for your life. And Cory and I will talk more about that next time when he comes on. But Cory and I have a number of people in our network who have used podcasts to really develop themselves as the premier authority on what they do. We've had the guys from TNT Strength on, who have experts from all over the world to talk about fitness on their podcast. And I have people who are starting YouTube channels. And so there's various versions, depending on what you want to do. We do a live podcast, and I just structured it like this from the very beginning, almost, after doing some experimenting. And I would recommend that, because then you don't have the post production, and there's a certain buzz to live TV, live podcasting that you just can't beat. People say, well, what if I mess up? What if I flub a sentence? That's all good. That's part of the experience. People appreciate the rawness. And I think getting a co-host is some of the best experience, or um, advice I would give to, because it makes it so much easier. It makes it so much more fun. Well, that's it. I'm going to leave it there for today. And sorry we did an abbreviated section on this. It's such an exciting topic, becoming a speakerpreneur and using public speaking to build and promote your business. And if folks have any additional resources or trainings, feel free to drop those in the comments, or you can email me at wideangle@kirsteninc.com. And that's it for this episode of Quantum Leap. Thanks for listening.